Hello, 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 everyone. It's Gail Nicholson here for another episode of Corona Spotlight 2020. Today is a special edition here on Saturday because we had a technical glitch with our first run with Josh Buus back on Monday. So we're going to give it another go and talk to you today a little bit about all this neurotechnology and happy socks and everything that can make you feel cozy and comfy while you're still in quarantine for coronavirus. So, without further ado, hi Josh, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you? Good morning or afternoon. Yeah, good morning. It's afternoon for me.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Exactly. Sounds good to me.
Awesome, awesome. So, thank you so much for your patience and tenacity to do
For
this
sure.
again with me. We'll get things going and talk a little bit about Vox life and the socks that make people happy,
Absolutely.
and we'll do it with a soundtrack this time.
There we go. That sounds great.
What a concept! All right.
Yes.
So let's see. I want to start out a little bit with your background. I know
Okay.
that you are former Air Force.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into the Air Force and what you've been doing there? And then I assume you're retiring or retired. So what's next for
I
you?
got out a little bit early. It didn't work out with it was time for me to leave, honestly, pursue other things. But I started it out. I grew up in Southwest Minnesota, living on a farm, doing the whole your nearest neighbor's like a half a mile away and it's your grandparents kind of thing. And I knew that I didn't have any interest in college, and part of that was my high school experience just kind of just ruined the whole education experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I wanted to be around aircraft, but I just didn't care to be a pilot. I didn't want to be like the whole flying through a tube. If I was going to be in an aircraft, I wanted to have the freedom to just pull some G's and go wherever I wanted to go.
Right.
But so I picked the best thing that could get me to aircraft, and that was fuel and cryogenics. So fuel pretty much touches every aircraft in the military. So
Mm-hmm.
there's not much stuff that you can't touch with that. And so I did 13 years in South Carolina with that. I did a year in Turkey, and then I did a year in South Dakota. And I have stayed out here because when I was growing up in the 90s, my family would vacation out here in the Black Hills a lot. So I just drew a
Nice.
very strong, almost like a magnetic draw to this area. It's weird because a lot of veterans are drawn out to this area for its therapeutic almost sense. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Now I know that it's pretty much a lot of empty land, so to speak,
yeah,
but it's not necessarily empty in that there's
no,
Native Americans. That's
yeah,
their land, right?
yeah,
It's not empty. It's just not white people developed,
yeah.
right?
There's a lot of reservation land out here for Native Americans. There's the Black Hills, which is like a protected area.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Badlands, which is protected, because you figure the population of South Dakota is about 400, 500,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get around to Sturgis, like the motorcycle rally, the population of South Dakota pretty much doubles during that time
I
period.
believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the peak was about 750,000 one year,
Wow. Wow.
just drawing in for the crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. But I
So
imagine with all of that not developedness, there's an awful good spiritual energy of the
there is.
land there that's very healing for people who have
Yes.
gone through the military,
Yeah.
seen some action, some deployments,
Yeah.
and could use a little filling of their peace bucket,
Yeah.
so to speak.
If I ever need to recenter myself, I just take a drive out to Mount Rushmore, which is only about 45 minutes away.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're back. You're retiring. What's next for you?
So I got involved in business in 2012, and I did like a relationship marketing aspect of building relationships for a few years. And then in 2017, I was actually introduced to a neurotech, which is what I'm doing currently. And of course, first off the bat, like most people, I was skeptical. I was like, there's no way that a tactile pattern and something like that can cause what it does. Like, there's no way. So I was like, okay, I need to see how this works. So I had my friend send me a pair of socks to my mom's place in South Dakota, because that's where I was going to be after I left Turkey. Mm-hmm. And I tried on the socks for 5 minutes. I didn't know how to do a demo. I didn't know how to tell my mom how to do a demo. I didn't know how to do a demo on my mom when I had her wear the socks. They just kind of went in the drawer for a few weeks. And then I ended up meeting my wife, Amy, the first week in January. So I'd been in the area about a month. Mm-hmm. Well, she had just retrieved her cousin from Arizona, and they were going out to do some car shopping for her cousin. And a little bit of backstory on my wife, back in 2006, she separated her pelvis in basic training in the Air Force. So when I met her, she was on gabapentin and she was carrying a cane in her purse. So about 3 mile an hour walk, which most people consider pretty normal, that was about her max pace. Mm-hmm. Without pain. Gotcha. Well, when she went out to the car dealership, I put some socks on her, those Nuerotech socks. I didn't tell her what they were. She was actually like, why are you giving me special socks for this trip? And I was like, just roll with it. Just wear them, see what happens. I didn't really give her any expectation. And what happened was 4.5 hours later, she calls me and she's like, okay, I've been chasing the kids, which there's 4 of them under the age of 7, for an hour and a half, and I'm not in pain. What's going on here? And I was like, oh, they work. So that she was running after the kids. Like, you probably hear my wife in the background. Yeah. But yeah, so about a month and a half of her trying with and without the Nuerotech socks, she was able to get away from the gabapentin and the cane.
That's miraculous. That's amazing.
Quality of life, huge. Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Exactly.
So then that kind of made up your mind that they do work and they're worth, putting out there into the world, right?
Oh, yeah. So I started looking more into it, and I got to see in the white papers, and I got to see in the brain mapping that they do on people that shows instantly how much of a difference it makes, because you can literally on the scanner watch the brain color change, because you can see the reds and the yellows of the stress and the blues of the damage and see it going to green.
Wow.
To optimization, which your brain's trying to do anyway.
Yeah.
But due to it's not that good at regulating itself and getting it to homeostasis, and there's a lot of static. So when you put on the Nuerotech, the average person actually gets 34% more efficient brain function.
Wow. Now, I was just talking with Gabriella Michaelison yesterday, and she was talking about how the brain is a great healer, but it doesn't troubleshoot so well. So this actually kind of sounds like that. It meshes really well in that.
Sounds like someone I need to talk to.
Right?
Have a conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, you should actually. I think that you guys could collaborate really well. Yeah. But yeah, the brain is not necessarily built for troubleshooting itself. It's built for operating given the information that it has, and it's always trying to get to, like you said, homeostasis, which is just the optimum systems functioning together, all of them at their highest ability.
Exactly.
And so how do these socks with these just a tactile pattern inside woven into them help the brain get rid of that static and get closer to homeostasis?
So what it actually comes down to is it's the relaxing of the trigeminal nerve in the face, which is a cranial nerve.
Okay.
And when you can relax the trigeminal nerve, it soothes the brainstem and helps it reach homeostasis. And it does that by, like, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the feet are actually a very effective key to brain function.
Yeah, when I get a massage, the reflexology part of it is amazing.
So when you put this tactile pattern, it's nothing that you can feel a difference of. Like, if I close my eyes, I can't tell that I'm touching the pattern at all.
Really? Okay.
No. But once that, it's like holding the key pattern up to the bottom of your foot, and when the neural points recognize that, it doesn't necessarily know what it is, but it carries that signal up to the brainstem, and it's like, perfect. I needed that.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
So this is a pair of small socks that we actually put on our 7-year-old.
Awesome.
But
So they
it's
do have socks of all sizes. It's not
oh
just
yeah,
for
yeah,
adults. Yeah.
yeah. This is actually a small. We have this is an extra small. So that's the smallest sock I think that we have, and this is small. So yeah, a little bit of a size difference. Just depends.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a
Yeah,
different cut too.
different cut. Yeah, the one was a mini crew, and the other one's a no show.
Ah, gotcha.
But yeah, insoles and then patches and knee braces, and it's all got the Neurotech built into it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So for people, like who would like to become part of that themselves,
Yeah.
what's that like for them?
Well, it all starts with a positive experience. They need to, for one, be open to it.
Mm-hmm.
They need to have hope that there is improvement out there, which there is, and we have what we call a balance and stability demo so that people can see instantly the difference that it makes on your neurology. Because as soon as a pattern makes contact with the bottom of your foot or wherever it's applied to your body, it instantly improves your strength, balance, stability, range of motion, and pain management.
Wow.
So half the battle is understanding that it does work, and then the rest of it is kind of waiting for your body to get back to where it needs to be.
Excellent. And about how long
So
does that
we have a
usually
30-day
take?
money. We have a 30-day money back guarantee. So we recommend that people wear it as much as possible for 30 days. And then if they don't notice a difference, then they take off the technology and go for 5 days without and see what difference they notice of their body going from its optimum to back to normal. And for some people, that's what it takes because you don't necessarily notice the benefits coming on. But when you lose it, it's like, oh, now I remember that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I have this image of a frog in a pot of water. The warmer it gets, the
sure.
frog falls asleep. It's not.
Okay.
It just acclimates. But you jump out of a hot tub into the cold air, and that warmth is missing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's quite the same. Yeah.
Awesome. So, can you tell me any kind of case studies other than your wife, other clients that you've helped work with, or
So
some of the results you've seen?
Yeah. So they've done a 1,000 person study, and they were 94% effective on bringing foot pain from a pain level 4 down to a pain level 2 or better.
Wow.
They've also done studies on diabetic neuropathy with people, and they took adults with the diabetic neuropathy and brought the pain level from a 4 or higher down to a 2 or better.
Nice.
And then they did the same thing with plantar fasciitis. So it's 98% effective on plantar fasciitis and 94% effective on diabetic neuropathy. And we've got more studies in the works.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. And so how's Amy doing with her experience of it? Amy, you want to pipe up?
Yeah, you want to pipe in?
Okay.
Give us an on-screen testimonial here.
All right.
You want to come sit in my lap or something? I don't know.
Don't mind me. I'm dressed like a mom schooling kids at home.
Hey.
But
No problem.
What it's done for me is I used to be stuck on a couch or stuck in a bed. It hurt to move. It hurt to get up. It hurt to do anything. I have a quality of life again. Awesome. I can live. I can be involved in my kids' lives and not have to hide in the corner without crying, without being in pain. So for me, it's been a life changer. And every person that I see that has their life changed, whether it's the stroke patient that can all of a sudden lift their leg on their own again to get in and out of the car, or different little things, it's changing normal.
Gotcha.
For everybody.
Now, give me a snapshot of if you didn't have this, what would your experience of homeschooling your kids during the coronavirus quarantine be like?
Oh my goodness. It would be frequent napping just to deal with the pain. Lots of pain pills, probably irritable, snapping at the kids all the time, just constantly on edge. A lot of time either in bed or on the couch, not being able to get up and go outside and watch them ride their bikes or go up and down the stairs with them. Just probably letting them do mostly just TV entertainment because I wouldn't be able to do anything with them or make sure they're getting what they need or taking care of anything they really needed.
I'll bet you there's actually a lot of women out there, or even men, parents out there, that are experiencing exactly that right now. And if any of you listening are, you definitely need to reach out to Josh, because Amy's living proof that it can be a whole different way. Now, what are some of the activities that you've been doing with your kids during this quarantine? Because you're not bedridden and in pain and snappy and, hiding under the heating pad.
We did have to shoo my son out of the room. He was in here doing his schoolwork. Both of my boys are autistic. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole new level of frustration. And not only is the Vox helping me, it's helping them. We have fewer outbursts. It's easier to self-regulate and come back down from the emotional upheaval. We have a sleeve that helps with anxiety and depression. And that helps with my son with ADHD stay focused on his work. Nice. So I created PE for them. Mm-hmm. They were running reams of paper up and down my stairs. So we have gone downstairs. We have completely cleaned and organized my son's room. We've done a lot of spring cleaning, going through, and I've gotten my office reset up and reorganized. So I was able to push through and do all of that, which before the tech, my house looked like a hoarder's home because I couldn't do anything.
I get it. Wow. So that sounds like a huge difference in life that these little comfy socks can make. That's pretty amazing. Yeah. Pretty amazing.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us, Amy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Very much. Now, you mentioned that it's helping your sons as well. You use the socks on them? You use the sleeve on them? Or is that for your recovery? Just asking.
No, it's on them. The socks he was showing, mm-hmm. These are the ones my kids wear.
Gotcha. Excellent.
And then the sleeve, I have sleeves for me because I have anxiety and panic attacks.
Okay.
But my youngest, because he has sensory processing disorder, he gets overwhelmed with too much bombardment. So if it's a stressful thing like going to the store or something like that, we put the sleeve on him and he's able to self-regulate and stay calm and handle things a lot better.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really amazing. I think that honestly, that's one of the things that you guys should lead with when talking about this with people, because the frustrations for parents of autistic kids are just mountainous. And
especially when they don't have the perspective like Amy, she's high functioning Asperger's. So she has an insight into how their minds work.
Yeah.
They've actually been doing studies on kids with Asperger's or autism and the socks, and the studies have been huge. Just the testimonies of kids that couldn't understand math, that were frustrated, and they were able to put the tech on, and they'd sit there and they'd do the work, and they wouldn't be freaking out, they wouldn't be overwhelmed, because it's helping the body not go from overwhelmed and overstimulated to, and that's the coping normal, mm-hmm. to the actual normal of where your body should be. And that's where everything's calm and happy.
Nice. I was just listening to another podcast earlier this morning, and they talked about the energy of receiving is calm, right? So if these things can get you to a space where you are actually in that calm normal, then wow, the possibilities that open up from that on, directions that you can go in life are exponential.
Right. Absolutely.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you both very much for joining me this morning. Is there anything else that we can talk about for right now? How can people get in touch with you? What is the best way for them to reach out to you and connect so that they can find out more and ask their own questions about what this will do for themselves and their families?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook. If they search for Josh Buus, spelled just how it is. Otherwise, my phone number is 803-847-0021.
Or they can shoot an email to gotboosted, GOTBUUSTED, kind of a play on words with our name, at gmail.com. Just drop us an email there.
That's phenomenal. Well, blessings to both of you. Thank you again so much for taking the time to do this again. I think that this is even better than it was the first time, quite honestly. This is great. So I'm happy for the opportunity to do that. Any Absolutely. Final thoughts? Any final words of wisdom for those people out there that are listening?
Well, I guess we didn't really get around to talking about how it came about. Jay Dollywall was actually, I don't know, teenage years, something like that, back in like 1985, I think it was. And his mom was diagnosed with MS.
Oh, yeah.
And she went from diagnosis to wheelchair in 18 months. And back then, not much was known about MS. Like, there's a bunch of different variations even now of what they classify it as. And so he got into studying with different neurological specialists and researchers and stuff like that. And what they ended up finding was some research done in Sydney, Australia back in 1965, and a lot of research, but nothing had been made into a product. So this mission has been born out of him wanting to help everybody's mom.
He wanted to help alleviate the symptoms. So the company's mission is not making money, it's to reach a billion people with wellness.
That's beautiful. Awesome. So, final thoughts. How can people, reaching out for wellness, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again for taking the time to meet with me
today.
Today. And take care. Awesome.
You too.
Hold on one second.